Thank you for sitting through my bit of housekeeping, and I will hand it back to you, June.
Thanks, Victor. So we do learn a lot from you that we apply in making these sessions useful to you. So it's also a way that our evaluations of what we do help to convince our funders that these are valuable for the community. So I'm going to ask you to share in chat your thoughts and feedback regarding this session, one or two lessons that you can apply, any insights that spark kind of a jump start for your new idea or practice, and what additional information you would like to hear about regarding this topic. So I'll post those questions in chat for you to chew on as we spend our 90 minutes together. If you are able, we have a really big group today, 85 people so far. So if you're able, please use chat to introduce yourself, your name, your organization, and your location, city, and state, and email if you choose to share it. It's a reminder to keep your microphones mute when you're not speaking, and identify yourself when you do speak. So today's session, it's really all about batteries. Batteries in this growing power outage world. We rely on batteries to power life-saving, life-supporting, and life-sustaining devices. So the discussion will look at what's working, what needs work, what do we wish was available, and what do we learn? So Lisa Austin is our moderator and panel lead today, and she is CFILC's DDAR Assistant Manager, and DDAR stands for Disability Disaster Access and Resources. Hard to roll off my tongue, DDAR. And we have Ron Halog from the Independent Living Resource Center of Solano and Contra, Costa, Erin Mcdonald, Emergency Response Coordinator at Valley Mountain Regional Center, and Carolyn Nava, Emergency Services Liaison, Disaster Action Center. And Carolyn, when you introduce yourself, you'll let us know what part of California that relates to. So I'm going to now hand it over to Lisa to take it away.
Oh, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for attending. This is exciting. A lot of people here today. So yeah, I work for the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers, also known as CFILC, and we are located in Sacramento, and I also live in Sacramento, which is the capital of California, and I am the Disability Disaster Access and Resources Assistant Manager, and have been with the program since it's well, before it was even a program, actually. It didn't have a name yet. But anyway, happy to be here, and I'll pass it on to Ron.
I wasn't ready for that. It's like, thank you guys for having us. First of all, my name's Ron Halog, and I'm with Independent Living Resources of Solano and Contra Costa County. Before that, I was with CRIL, Community Resources for Independent Living, as their executive director. And I've been pretty much in the disability world for the last 35 years with disasters all around. And so we've always been supporting people. I'm also currently the ALCO VOAD, Alameda County Volunteer Organizations Active in Disasters, vice chair, and FAST team member, Functional Assessment Service Team, and also CERT. Sorry for the long, but it's we all have multiple hats. And so I know that you guys switch it out every now and then. So I'll pass it off to Erin.
Thank you, Ron. My name is Erin Mcdonald. I am the Emergency Response Coordinator at Valley Mountain Regional Center. You may hear me when I'm speaking. I will try to not use acronyms, but I may say VMRC just to shorten it up a bit. I previously was got to work with the lovely Disability Disaster Access Resource Group. Resources when I worked at DRAIL, Disability Resource Agency for Independent Living. So shout out to all my DRAIL peeps that are on the call. But now I'm part of the region, I am one of the emergency response coordinators at one of the 21 regional centers in the state of California. And the difference between that and the Independent Living Network is the idea that we focus strictly on developmental disabilities. The center I work at, we are here in Northern Central California. We have all these lovely breakups geographically here in California, but to help those of you from out of state, I am sitting in my Stockton office today, which is approximately 50 miles south of the capital there in Sacramento. I'm probably 80 miles east of San Francisco and about probably 30 miles east of Ron. But the center that I cover, that I work for, we cover all of a good portion of the northern part of the Central Valley that including our foothill communities. That's Amador, Calaveras, and Tuolumne counties would be my foothill ones. And then the ones that sit on the valley floor, the Great San Joaquin Valley, would be San Joaquin County and Stanislaus County. So that is all for me. I'm going to pass it on to Carolyn.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carolyn Nava. I am representing the Disability Action Center this morning, an independent living center serving 9 California counties north of Ron and Lisa and Erin. So our counties, if you're looking on the map and you see the shape of California, that L shape, just go straight up the middle of California above that L, and you're probably looking at our coverage area for services. I'm an African-American female. I'm wearing a red top. And basically my world is helping our team provide the services that keep our community safe, whether they are the aging population or those that have multiple disabilities. It's just my role to guide and keep everyone unified, and working closely with the DDAR team as well as other agencies to make that flow for emergency services with our group. So happy to be here and share anything that I can.
Thanks, Carolyn. So I'm Lisa again, and working with the Disability Disaster Access and Resource Program. The main focus that everybody is expected and hoping to get involved in is disaster preparedness and creating their own plans at home and so on. There's another elite part of the program that is able to supply batteries to the disability community for people that have medical equipment that requires electricity. So when the power goes out for a number of reasons, they have a resource to use that equipment and keep themselves safe and healthy during power outages. So with that being said, I'm gonna say that first and foremost, I hope everybody is working on a preparedness plan. And if you need support, reach out to your local Disability Disaster Access Resource Center and get their support. It's very important to have that. And we talk about go bags, right? If you have to evacuate or leave, stay bags if you need to stay and hunker down. And always remember that you might have some pets or animals around that might need your support in those times too. So make sure you have a plan for that, and the rest of your family as well. So, but we're gonna move on to batteries. So how can the batteries help? And they are a very helpful assistive technology to, like I said, ensure additional personal independence and safety when the power goes out in various areas. So we're going to start with what is working. So who would like to start with what is working? Erin, Ron?
Sure, I'll jump
Carolyn?
on in. It's a You know, the batteries we're talking about, it's like I happen to have one behind me, but we're not talking about these little ones. It's like, these are much, much bigger. I've got one of these. This is a 500. And so I just want to make sure you know how big these are. This is the smallest one that we used to carry. A 500 weighs about 12 pounds. They're great. They're mobile. And so when people get these batteries, one of the biggest things that they really appreciate is that.
Rod, Junior, could you just do a little visual description of that?
Sure. Yeah. It's the size of a, I would say a small bread box, small microwave oven. It has connectors that you can use a cigarette lighter if you want, or car cigarette charger, little port for it. You also have an area that you have to plug in and charge this battery. And then in the middle, you have a display. And on the display, it shows that you have how much power you have, how many watts are going out, how much is going into it. And then when you're charging it, it will actually tell you how long it's going to take to charge. And it's really nice to have. And then on the other side, you have two regular outlets, just like a wall outlet. And a lot of times, you know, people will plug in and they'll think, oh, well, it's running from the battery. It actually changes from a battery output DC current to an AC current. So it's a 110 current outlet. And so, and again, people say, well, what can I plug into it? Anything you plug into the wall, you can plug into this, but just know you have 500 watts of power. And then you also have on the bottom down, right underneath the screen, is USB outlets. So if you want to, you can also charge your phone. And so it's a nice little peace of mind to have for a lot of, and I'll go through an orientation in a little bit with it. But what it does, I think the most is it takes that stress off of people. And when they know about it, it's kind of like, oh, I didn't know I can have this. It's one less thing they have to worry about. So I like the batteries too, because they come in different sizes. Again, the one I showed you was the 500X. It will go, and this is through Goal Zero. I know that there's other battery programs or batteries out there, but the ones that we can get through Goal Zero go up to 6,000 watts of power. So it's 500 watts to 600 watts. And then just to go through, these are not batteries like the car battery. They don't have acid, they don't have liquids in them. They're lithium batteries. So a lot of people will think, well, is it heavy because of the water? No, it's not going to leak. It's not going to corrode. So they're safe in that manner. And then they do take time to charge, but at the same time, they've got some devices that are a quick charger, so you can charge these a little bit quicker. They're not like your cell phone where you just plug it in and they charge, you know, in an hour or 2 hours. It takes time to actually charge them up. And then the last thing that I like about them too is they do, if you want, can get solar power, solar panels to actually charge them up. But then we're going to be going through some other things in this, but I just wanted to do a highlight of some of the things that I've heard that are a benefit for the batteries. And they're just nice to have. Again, they're lithium, good size batteries. And again, they're simple to use. I want to stress that the most, because a lot of times people, when they get technology, will scratch their head and say, what do I do with this thing? It's fairly easy. And you know, I can definitely go over it within 5 minutes. I can go through it and let you know how to use this battery. So, Erin, what else? What do you have?
So Ron did a great job there showing the 500, since it's the nice portable one. As they get larger, one of the things I will say, which wouldn't make sense on the 500, is the batteries do come on carts. Those are specifications that some come included with carts directly from the manufacturer. And then for the 1500 product, which is the battery, the next size up that the Disability Disaster Access Resource Program carries as a a tool to support individuals would, it also has been adapted to a cart because we found, the program overall found that that was a very useful item to have, not only for those of us that got to move those batteries consistently, but for those of you in your homes when you needed to move it and keep it portable. The one thing about the battery is that it is a great resource for you, and you really need to think of it like that, as a resource. The batteries are not really long-term power solutions. They are just another tool for you to have in your disaster preparedness kit, or toolbox or tool belt or whatever vernacular you want to use to describe that. But the thing about it is people are usually always caught off guard with how long it takes to charge the battery, to get it back up to 100%. In a perfect world, if you were able to have a couple multiple sources and be able to kind of like juggle these items out, that would be your best bet, because the amount of time you use it versus the amount of time it can take to charge can be a sliding ratio depending on where you are. And it depends on, there are all these factors that come in when you work with batteries. First of all, where you're recharging them, how you can get it to be recharged if your power's still out, if you're going to go to a community resource center that might be set up that allows for charging, recharging items when there are power outages. Then the mobility of the battery comes into play for you, because they are not light as they get heavier. As Ron was bench pressing the 12-pounder there, it gets a little harder, although I do know a few people. I'm going to give a shout out to David Soares at Drail. He can still lift the 3000s like that. Better man than me. Anyway, so those are the things that work. But I would caution that always the thing with the battery is to not become completely reliant on it, because it is a piece of technology, just like this Zoom meeting, that can fail on us, that is a fail safe. So I strongly encouraged everyone in my previous life when I was part of the DDAR program, and now over here at the regional center side, when we talk about making disaster plans, emergency plans, disruption plans to our everyday life, is that you don't want to give up on those things that aren't technology driven. Best one I can always think of, because I sat through one of Ron's trainings, a hand can opener. That will save you and get you out of so many things. Your Swiss Army knife, tools like that you're used to using. Also, the idea with all of these things is the idea of familiarity, working these systems over and over and having your redundancy plans in place. So I never want to discourage from that. The battery is a wonderful, useful resource. It is an amazing tool. However, I just get concerned sometimes when we focus so much on them that we're setting ourselves up for additional challenges, because with every great thing, with every pro, usually there's a con on the other side. And I'm going to get Carolyn's thoughts on here, because I always love getting her input as well.
Hey, Erin, before you go to Carolyn, there's one burning question in chat, and that is, can you just say a few sentences regarding how these are different than generators, and sometimes more appropriate for a group of people?
Okay, so I would never claim to be an expert on generators in any way, shape, or form. I am one of those lucky people that lives in California where my power is supplied by an irrigation district. So we have a little bit of a different supply. So I am not the expert on generators, but I will tell you this. The main difference between generators and batteries that I know of is generators require some type of fuel, whether that be diesel, gasoline. There is something that you add because that has an engine that runs in it that creates the electricity. It's almost like a small power plant, so to speak. Whereas these batteries are lithium-ion batteries, like Ron highlighted, and you recharge them like you would anything else, like we charge our cell phones, our laptops, all the various items of technology. So I would say, again, prefacing that I'm no generator expert, but those are the major differences between generators and batteries.
And really quick, it's like I want to also add, if you live in a condo, having a generator on your balcony, or it doesn't really work. And sometimes you have to take a look at where you're living to make sure it's going to be appropriate for you. It's like there's some places like apartment buildings will say, nope, you can't have a generator. And it's like it requires you to have gas. And then just operating, if you don't know how to use a generator, just be careful because it comes out with carbon monoxide and we don't want anybody poisoned. Where batteries, plug and play, you know, you plug it into the wall, let it charge up and you plug, and I'll do a quick demonstration in a little bit, but it's fairly easy to use. It's very intuitive.
Over to you,
Thanks,
Carolyn.
thanks, Erin and Ron. All good points, and I would be emphasizing every single one of these points to our listeners today. And I want to add one more thought before I go back to the batteries on the generator. There is also the factor of noise when you're using a portable generator. They are very loud. So you do not want to have complaints coming out. For example, if you're in an apartment complex and you're even allowed to have them, again, they require a constant source of fuel, whether it's diesel or gasoline. So typically most multiple home units aren't going to allow them, but if they do allow them, you must also factor in the noise for your neighbors because they are not quiet. So you might be looking at noise control in terms of you can't run it after a certain hour. So is that really the most effective when, as Ron and Erin both mentioned, you have a battery, it's plug and play as long as it's fully charged. So there's multiple power sources out there that can be permanent or fixed. As our panels already emphasized, batteries are not a permanent safety solution. They're a resource. And that voice, we use them as a tool as part of an overall planning recommendation for the families and individuals that we service. Because these batteries come in multiple types, and Erin mentioned, yeah, you could probably bench press that 500 battery at 12, 13 pounds, but the 3000 battery with the cart now goes up to about 80 pounds. So when we say portable, portable is in parentheses. You must understand what you require. If you're already dealing with oxygen tanks and other equipment, the portability of a 90-pound battery now becomes in question, and we have some that are even heavier than that. So look at batteries as possibly a way to keep yourself safe or to get you to safety over a 24-hour period. What we always recommend with our individuals is that do a trial run with the battery when your power is on and stable. Pretend like the power's off, plug in your required medical equipment or refrigeration tools, whatever you know you've strategized with to protect yourself during an outage, and see how long the battery takes to drain. How long did it get to 75%? How long did it get to 50%? Because one of the biggest questions that we often get is, well, how long is this going to last? And honestly, no one can answer that. There are too many variables in the mix with individual usage style, with individual equipment that they're plugging into that. So each of our families, we encourage them to do several trial runs so that they understand how long the battery setup they have is lasting for their individual situation. So, single batteries, yeah, they can work really well for power outages lasting a few hours, 24 hours. I think the longest we've had is maybe a day or so before those families said, this isn't going to work. We need to get to a different safety strategy. Because taking a 90-pound battery in the middle of an outage to get it recharged somewhere is a task. And if you have the family power to do it, that's great. But we want you to understand as an individual exactly how long that safe zone is, and then take off 2 hours off of that to say, when I get to this amount of time on this battery, I require to move myself to safety.
Thank you guys all for that. I want to point out there are some people here that have put some portable batteries on their pictures or in their cameras. So it looks like David Soares from Droyle has a 1500X. So that's 3 times the power that the battery that Ron showed you. That one is about 45 pounds. It does not come with a cart. You have to purchase the cart separately. When we use them in our program, we do purchase the carts and we have them put on before we deliver them to our consumers.
And Lisa, I'm sorry to interrupt this thought train, but I wanted to mention this because it's super important. You know, you also have to look at the electrical system in your home when you're charging these types of batteries. Oftentimes we get individuals in older homes or smaller units, and they go to charge these big batteries, and then they throw the power out, whatever was on, because they don't have the capacity in their home to maintain a charge. And we've even flipped the switch in our centers. We've had 2 or 3 batteries plugged in. We're getting charged up, ready for an event, and we black the room out or the building out because we had too much power draining at once. So it's really important for families to do these trial runs, to test it out, to understand how long it's taking to safely charge, to see if they're even in a living situation where they can recharge that battery safely without affecting the rest of the home's electrical. So sorry to interrupt you, but that popped in my head and I go, I'm going to forget to mention that.
No, that's great. And, you know, to piggyback on what you just said, we have a warehouse group, an organization that does the deliveries for us to the centers, and they were charging batteries to in an attempt to have them fully charged when they were delivered so they could get right out to the community. And in doing so, they did lose power in their warehouse, and about a quarter of the warehouse trying to charge them for us. And they said, sorry, we have to go back on our gift to you and charging them. So yes, definitely be aware of that. Thanks, Carolyn. That's super important. So I do have some stats on the different batteries that we do use. Ron showed you the 1500 or the 500. David has the 1500 there. So the 1500, like I was saying, is 45 pounds. It doesn't have a cart. It's the same length and width of the other batteries, except probably the 500. But that one is about 10.5 inches high. When you go to the next battery that we use in our program, it's a 3000X, and that is 70 pounds with a cart. And it is the same width and depth, but it is 13.5 inches tall. So it's 3 inches taller than the 1500X right there. And then when we get to the 6000X, it's 106 pounds with a cart. And it is, so that means it's 60 pounds heavier than David's battery and 36 pounds heavier than the 3000 battery. So you're getting up there in mobility. You know, it gets harder and harder the larger the battery to move it around. And the 6000 comes with they call it like a supercharger, but it's a 6,000 watt charger that helps it charge faster, and that can be used with the 1500 and the 3000. And so sometimes we are able to give people some of those chargers with the batteries, but it does come with the 6000. So anyway, that's a little bit of a background on that.
And Lise, really quick, there's a question on cost. You know, the 500, for example, the one I have here, cost about 700. If you go to Gold Zero, that's where it's from, this one. And the 3000 is about 3,500. Before, when I used to look at it, I used to think, oh, the wattage will tell you, but it's gone up a little bit. So they are a little pricey. And then the 6000 is definitely going to be over 6,000. So just know that as well.
Yeah.
And really quick, I just wanted to give a quick demonstration on how these things work. Again, they're very, very easy. I've got this one, the 500, plugged into my drill. And notice that it's all plugged in and it's not working. And most of the time, people will just do that thinking, oh, all I'm going to do is, he said plug and play, right? So it's supposed to work. There's a little button here that I've always told people, and it says AC. right up there. If that little button is not lit up, it doesn't work. And so now when I do it, I'll push my little drill. It's going to get loud. Oh, I just blew it out. Oh no. Hold on.
And that's the perfect demo right there.
That
Ron,
is.
because that's exactly what people do. Plug it in and blow it out. And then we get that call. Oh, well, this doesn't even work. Well, what did you do? Can you, let's back up and explain exactly what you did so we can
Exactly.
isolate things.
So when that happens, unplug everything, plug it back in, turn off the little light, and then plug it back again. Because if it does trip it, you're going to see a little red dot on the top. And so, but notice that when I do use it, sorry, this thing is only 12 pounds, but it is heavy for one arm. You'll start seeing a power drainage, power draw on it. And again, find out what Carolyn said. Find out how much power you're going to be using for your medical device. I can't tell you how many times we've given out batteries and people were like, I can power my whole house. This is not going to power your whole house. It's like, you really, really need to take a look at what is your power needs. And then what Erin said in the very beginning, you know, what did we do before this? It's you know, it's like, we always have to make sure that we have redundancy plans in place for when the power goes out and your battery goes dead. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, real quick,
Ron.
I had a question in the chat that was asking if Goal Zero is the brand of the battery. Yes, that is the brand of the batteries that this program uses for the program. We haven't had any major problems with it, and kind of at the point where if it's not really broken, we don't want to have to fix it. So we're not going to go to something else and try and do something when this seems to be working pretty well for us. We haven't had many problems with it at all.
Lisa,
So
there's
that's a
another
good question. There are
question.
different manufacturers. What's that, June?
There's another question in chat that I think is an overarching question. Ron mentioned it. Maybe you all can also address it. The solar charging aspect of these units. Can you let us know what's real and what's not?
Absolutely.
Lisa, I'll jump in here if I can,
Okay,
just really
Carolyn,
quickly.
go.
Because we are sitting right in the middle of one of those heavy hot zones. So when you think about a region like Paradise or Magalia, where even post fires, you have a lot of shade and greenery still. If you don't have a good solid solar area to charge those panels with, it's going to take a long while. And just like the batteries, these things don't charge quickly. You're looking at hours to recharge batteries with a solar panel. So again, that is a backup of a backup is how we like to use that in our region because of the time that it takes to actually get the full charge on the battery. It's a fail safe. It's a fail safe, but for many of our individuals who have more serious equipment requirements, that just is not going to move quickly enough many times for them to remain safe in their home to do a solar backup.
Yeah, thank you, Carolyn. That's a good point. And the other thing that we have found with solar panels, generally speaking, it doesn't go for every brand of solar panel that goes with the battery, but the ones for these particular batteries are very large and very heavy. I think I'm a pretty strong person. And when I saw the solar panels, I was like, wow, those are big. Okay. And picked it up. It comes in a bag with a nice handle. And it's like, holy smokes. And then I went outside to set it up to test it out. And I mean, they're large panels. You know, it was 2 large panels. And I set it up in the backyard. At the time, I had 2 large dogs living at the house. And I was very concerned that they would start wrestling and knock them over. So they're not necessarily easy to move. They're not easy to use, and they take days to recharge the battery. You know, it needs solar power to run and charge it, and we don't have the solar panel all the time, cloudy weather, etc. So it can be difficult, and we have not become strong proponents of using the solar panels in the cases that we need to use them in.
And
So that's a
Lisa,
good-
I'll jump in and
Yep.
just give an example where it did work, because you know we started out saying, okay, well, what's working, right? We have a region called Berry Creek, which is in the foothills east of our community. It's one of those areas that has been hit by double wildfires, and right now there's very little infrastructure. Most homes in that region don't have power. That was one of those areas where we were able to successfully work with the solar panels. But again, that was an extreme situation. There was no power on the property at all. And you had a person who really required the equipment for their medical care. So they are set up with a solar panel, but their habit just in communicating with them, they are constantly set up for the charge because they never know. Like you said, you get a cloudy day. When you're looking at something that takes days to get a full charge, you don't take any chances. But because of their situation, how extreme it is, it's working because they had no other alternative.
Yeah, that's great. Thank
what
you.
You were saying before too, that you had open spaces. I've tried those solar panels, and yes, they take days to charge up even a 1500. But even if you put a shadow of your hand right next to the solar panels, it cuts the efficiency down, way down. And then on top of that, just know, you know, at one point I thought I got smart. I started moving the solar panel every hour so I can maximize, but that means that I have to get up, move it around. And what Lisa said, these things are heavy. You know, for a lot of the people that I work with, it would have been a lot of problems because the mindset was, oh, if I get a solar panel, I'll use the device, the battery during the night. And then during the day, I'm fine. I'll just charge it back up to 100. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. So just know that.
All right, let's move on to lessons learned. What have we learned through our process of testing these batteries and using them with our consumers and so on and so forth? Who wants to start that?
Biggest lesson for us here, compassion and patience. Every situation is different. And you have people who already don't feel well in difficult situations. So to help them really understand how to be safe, especially relying on something like a backup battery, takes tremendous patience and just that air of compassion and empathy to say, okay, what would I want to experience being in this situation? These electrical systems, backup batteries, generators, whatever you choose as a part of your emergency preparation, I would say they're more for peace of mind than anything, but they're not there because you want to rely on that to keep you protected and safe. You must use this as a small part of an overall safety and care program for yourself.
Absolutely, and I'm gonna echo what Carolyn just said there. The another lesson that we learned in it is the testing aspect of this, the redundancy program of using it. If you have a battery that you are using, you need to prioritize what, for most individuals that get a battery from the different programs, durable medical equipment is what we're looking at supporting. And you need to test it with that first. You need to see how it goes, how it works on a night when the power is on, so that if it doesn't work for you, you're not caught with no other resources. Additionally, you need to do it during the day if you're having a rough day, because we have to keep in mind that a majority of the time when power goes out and you're relying on these things, it's because something else in the world has happened. You know, there could be a fire, there could be a massive power outage, and these things, if it's a fire, the smoke could be affecting you. And if you use it for breathing treatments, you're not going to need it for the same amount of hours. You could need it bit longer during the day. So you really need to test it out. That's been the greatest lesson learned, hand in hand with the idea of when these things happen, they are anxiety producing. They put us, this isn't our clear thinking. This isn't us on our best day firing on all cylinders. This is us dealing with stress, not only the stress that we have of taking care of ourselves, but if we have family members, we have pets, we have additional things going on. Unfortunately, none of us live in a vacuum when an emergency or disruption to our life happens. And by their very nature, emergencies and power outages and things of that nature are disruptive, and they create more anxiety with us. So one of the things, and it kind of seems odd to include it in this, but when you're thinking about your emergency plan, you have to think about self-care. And that's why we stress, extremely stress, not to stress you out, but to help you prepare, the idea of testing your plan over and over again. And just similar to when a person experiences, Ron loves analogies, so I'm going to try mine, Ron. Anya, I always think of this battery like when you're testing it out and formulating your plan. It's like when you have allergies and you have to eliminate everything, and then you get to introduce things back into your life one at a time. If you're going to use if you're going to use that battery as a resource, you have to do the same thing. You have to minimize, like get down to zero electrical need. Then you have to prioritize. For most of you, that would be durable medical equipment or assistive devices that you need to stay active and be able to get through your day. So you introduce those one by one and you test that. I almost, even when I was at Drail, we suggested, and we had some of them, we never got to the point of handing them out, but we had journals where we were really going to deliver those with the batteries as well, so that people could literally track this. We were all going to make you minor scientists in some way. But that would be my number one lesson learned, and piggybacking, factoring in what Carolyn said as well, the compassion, the understanding, and we would ask, those of us that work in these areas would ask for the same thing in return, because we are not battery experts, and each piece of equipment varies, each battery varies, even though they're manufactured at one big plant, they can each function differently. So it really is one of these situations where we're all in this together, folks. We may have different seats on the boat, but we're all in the same boat trying to figure it out. So though that would be my input. I'm going to hand it over to Ron because he's always full of wisdom.
Erin, I love the analogies too. Yes, you're right. One of the biggest takeaways that I learned was that people, when they get the battery, they're so excited, they've got it all set up. And then what happens after a month? Oh, they forget about it. Do you know batteries don't last? They start draining power. And then after 2 months, they drain more power. After 3 months, they're draining power. I have one person that actually, I send out monthly emails to all our folks, letting them know, hey, we're doing a monthly, this last month, I did a happy 4th of July, Independence Day. Make sure you check your battery. I had one person come back to me and goes, Ron, thank you so much for that. It's like, I did not realize, I didn't check my battery on a monthly basis. It was down to 20%. So that's one thing, a lot of things that I learned was that just because you have a battery doesn't mean you're going to be okay. This is preparedness. It's a constant thing that we always have to do. So even if it's a monthly thing, great. If it's weekly, fantastic. But, as Carolyn and Erin said, it's like, use it. Use the battery. Try it out. Find out how much power you're going to use, how long this battery is going to last. That's one of the biggest things. And then make sure your batteries are charged up. And if you don't, then there's something that you can use. I love Gold Zero because they come usually with the standard charger. It looks like this. These are small little ones that take a long time. But I'm also going to share something that they also sell, and I feel like a salesman, I'm not. But this is a quick charger. And I love it because it cuts the charging in half. It's only up, this is only for batteries from 1500 on up. The 6000s, they automatically get one of these because they're so long to charge for the old standard. The 500s don't. I love these, but be careful, they get hot. And so it's another thing I learned. I tell my folks, if you're going to be using any charger, regardless of what size, make sure it's not gonna, you're not gonna be putting clothing, towels, or anything on it because they get very, very hot. We don't want anybody to be burned or start a fire or anything like that. So, you know, definitely know what you're going to be getting yourself into when you get a battery. It's not just, okay, I got it, I'm done. Doesn't work that way. And then one last thing is I let people know about is, you know, preparedness is not being about independent. It's about interdependency. It's about building those relationships. If you've gone to my trainings, I definitely talk about getting your 5 trusted allies. I can't stress this enough. You've got a battery, great. Maybe one of your trusted allies can have a battery to help you out as well. But then you've got to build that connection, make sure that they know what expectations that you have on them and you know, how you could help them out, evacuations, whatever it is. So those are my takeaways. Back to you.
And Lisa, there's been several comments and questions coming through about the cost of this program. And so I want to emphasize that the services that we offer at our Independent Living Center related to this, when you qualify for this program, there is no cost for you, and participating in the equipment is provided to you at no cost as well. But you know, these batteries can be anywhere. If you don't qualify for a program like the DIDAR program, these batteries and chargers could be anywhere from, you know, an $800 to a $3,000 or $4,000 investment. But if you're needing that for equipment, yes, you know, contact your Independent Living Center, contact CFILC, California Foundation for Independent Living, so that you can get connected without a cost to you as an individual in the community.
Lisa and Carolyn, just because we have a national audience, just a sentence or two about why it is no cost in California in the contracts you have.
We have, I don't want to talk specifically about everybody's contract, but we do have some contracts with some of medical companies, electric companies, other funders. There's one of the
I'm sorry, Lisa,
centers that's been, say that again?
I just meant the reason you're able to give these or provide them to people in California is because you have a agreement with the utilities, right?
We have agreement with the utilities. Yes, we have an agreement with PG&E. We have some agreements with developmental disability services. We are talking to Southern California Edison. We have had support from Anthem Blue Cross with purchasing batteries. So we are able to give the batteries to people that have medical devices that require electricity to get the battery. The battery is not the definition of the program. So you can qualify for the program without getting a battery. Every person qualifies for the support of emergency preparedness, trainings, building your own preparedness plan, getting your resources together, creating your go bags, and all of that is, everybody is entitled to that. So everybody qualifies for the program. It's, you know, is your medical device going to be supported by this battery? And, or do you have other needs? And we need to look at different alternatives. So I hope that helps people with what we're doing here in California at this point. We're always looking for funders because we can never have too many batteries at this point. Even with the fires going on nowadays, you know, the electric companies have to turn the power off ahead of time so that their power lines aren't causing more problems during fires. So there's a lot of different components. So we had a big winter storm this last year in January for a couple of weeks. Some of you might have experienced it up north that shut things down for a good couple of weeks, if not longer. And a battery is not going to last for 2 weeks, I can tell you that. And in the middle of the snow, you're going to get very little support from sunshine for your solar panels. So make sure you use that as a crutch to get you to the next place you need to go, and use those resources. So yeah, we have, I'm just curious, is there anybody here? We still have a lot of people attending, and I'm glad we've captivated you for almost an hour. Anybody here have a battery that they use at home that you might want to share your experience with about? No? Okay.
I don't have one, but my friend has the Tesla system, and it's helped him out in a number of blackouts.
Right. Yes.
The
I'm
Tesla
sure it
Powerwall
has.
system. Yep.
Right.
So
That's a powerful,
it's been-
almost like a generator.
Well, I mean, it's just a huge battery in his basement, but it's been very effective for him, and it kicks in automatically, charges automatically, no issues, no maintenance, just it's there.
Yeah. I wish we could have those to give away, to be honest. A lot of people have needs that would really benefit from that type of support, but those are not in the realm of realism for us.
Have you asked? Have you made the ask of Tesla or the Musk Foundation? Couldn't hurt to make the ask. The answer may be no, but it won't be a yes unless you do ask.
You are so right. You are so right. It is on our list of things to do.
Lisa, just to follow up, my name's Steve Clausen. You'd asked if anyone at home has batteries. We do, but it's more in a corporate structure. I actually developed a company about 4 years ago to design porta Tesla Powerwalls. So
Great.
to come in exactly, basically like Ron was mentioning the Goal Zero, Erin's got the Goal Zero. We consider them very powerful tools, but I think in some scenarios and cases, they fall extremely short of what people are actually going to need. So we've developed something bigger. We consider it portable. It's more like a gas generator, say 250 pounds, but this is something I feel we can deliver to, if you have someone that has special needs and they need special run times, this would be a perfect tool for them. Our price point is a little high, but if you include the solar incentive, we give free solar panels with the units, so they qualify for a 26% rebate. And that actually puts them just under the Goal Zero 6,000. And they have much more capabilities if you stack us up apple to apples. So I just want to put that out there. And if we want to talk about it more offline or even more during this talk, I'd love to share some info on just what we see, how the future works better with batteries also, with bigger batteries.
Sure. We're always open to taking in new information and learning more about what's out there and available for us. So yeah, I would love to get with you offline and talk more about that. Thank you, Steve.
Excellent. You're welcome. That sounds great, Lisa. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so we are at the point where we want to find out what do we wish we had to make this stronger, better program. I would like a Tesla wall.
Seriously, I would
But realistically speaking, yeah.
Realistically, for our region, even above the equipment, is to continue to build stronger relationships with the community so that they understand how to self-empower. Because the equipment is just one element. It's also the individuals or their families taking ownership of where they live, how they live, what they require to live comfortably and safely. So for us, it would just, we're very short on manpower. We've been in emergency mode for the better part of almost 5 years now. And this level of work and heightened activity can be exhausting. So we'd wish for volunteers as well to help with these efforts. We've all just been grinding it for so long, but I think any innovative power source that's out there that can be made affordable or that can be distributed to families and individuals that require extremely affordable access to power is a wonderful thing. That's what I would wish for, that some benevolent being out there would just find it in their hearts to help us get the most affordable, best source of temporary power out into this region.
Right. Let me also add that people can submit applications online. You can call your local center and get an application filled out for you. And you know, another prerequisite for the program is that you live in a high fire threat district within the state of California. So we have a lot of resources to find out if you are in that particular area. If you don't lose power and you're not in a threat, so to speak, I mean, everybody is, you know, in earthquake territory in California pretty much, right? So it doesn't mean you're not at risk, but as far as fires go and getting your power shut off when it's too hot or too windy, that's in the high fire threat districts typically, and that's where the people that are going to get first dibs on getting the battery resource would be living. So, what else do we wish we had? What else did we have that that we could use?
Yeah, there's a couple things I wish for. It's like the current batteries that we have right now. I kind of wish that there was an alarm system on it that would tell us. It's almost like a smoke detector. You know how they beep, 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 it's going down. It would be really cool if they had that. That way people would know, okay, I didn't realize, I didn't check my battery. At least it's going off now that I have to plug it back in. That would be something really neat. And then, you know, I'm thinking way outside the box on this one is, I like to take a look at other technologies for longer term homes and like small places, small apartment buildings. You know, I've looked around. New York, for example, has it's called a flywheel generator. And if you ever look at it, it's called New York Beacon Flywheel. And energy is actually produced by a flywheel, and the excess energy that it creates will produce power. And I'm like, why don't we have that in California? And, you know, can we adapt that for our own individual home? And I went online, I'm like, oh, you can build these things. They're dangerous though. They are spinning very, very fast. If they break apart, they're going to do some damage. And so I'm not recommending it. But, you know, I saw the technology. I'm like, hey, it's kind of cool. The other technology that I saw was an energy vault or gravity vault. And it's where during the day they're taking solar power, wind power, whatever it is, to lift these weights up. And it's stored power. And at nighttime, it drops down, creates power. And so I'm like, that could probably be adapted to homes or apartment buildings. Why aren't we doing that now? So those are pretty way out there wishes. And I also wish that the price for the batteries would drop. But again, you said dreams, right? So I'm going with it. Dreams and wishes. Those are mine.
Erin, anything for you?
Oh, you know me. I always dream big. I want lots of things. Anyway, I'm just being silly. So there are things I would like to see change, but instead of focusing on, because I don't have the ability to, I don't have magic wands or crystal balls, guys, I apologize, here at my desk. But what I do think is that there are a lot of innovative products that have come up that are extreme, that can take some of the burden off of the way we rely on power, and some things that can make life easier. So instead of focusing, I always think it's good to have those big long-term reach goals, like, you know, all of the technology that we've kind of discussed so far, but I think maybe empowering ourselves with the things that we can do right now. Like one of the amazing things, and I know it's hard to see when we're on Zoom, probably especially because I have a background on, but Ron is holding his up too. We have these solar lanterns, which are amazing. Now, most people talk about in their disaster kit having a flashlight. I am not against flashlights. Flashlights are wonderful tools. However, a flashlight requires batteries that you have to have, like the little ones Ron showed in the beginning, and you have to have those on supply. What if you're not stocked up on those? What if you don't have a ton of them? What if the emergency lasts longer than you plan on? These little guys here that Ron's holding up, this lantern, and I have, those have a small solar panel on them. They are able to really set somewhere, and you can get enough sun on that where it recharges and does everything. The extra cool thing about these is they have a charging USB cable charging port on the bottom of them for your cell phone. And usually it's during the day that you'd be trying to message, your friends and family and all of those individuals to let them know that you're safe. That's something you can sit outside with, as long as, air conditions and things are appropriate if you're not in a fire zone. But you could also sit inside in front of the window, as long as you're not baking in the sun, kind of find that delicate balance. Another really game-changing thing for when we think about disaster preparedness and all of these things is, I know a lot of people that Drail served over the years, and even here at Valley Mountain Regional Center, that we serve with batteries, is power also is what it takes to make their well run. Their holding tank, their well. So when the power goes out, they're dealing with multiple challenges. They haven't only lost their electricity, they've lost water. And so one of the big things about that is, I wish there were, on my high list is things that could keep, for people that have large animals, keep them in water and things like that nature. But a game changer, and I apologize because I don't have one here at my desk, is the Lifestraw. I strongly suggest anyone look into the Lifestraw, Google it, look on Amazon. This is a revolutionary product that can make sure that you stay hydrated as long as you have a source of water that can really be beneficial to you. Also, in addition, and I do not have one here with me, I forgot mine. Oh, Ron's got his Lifestraw. I tell you, the man, if any of you need to know about disaster preparedness, Ron is a fount of information. Like, he is my go-to guy. I'm so grateful for the day I met him, when our paths crossed in life.
Hey, just a reminder, you both had great info, Junior. Ron and Erin, please describe the Lifestraw a bit more and the lantern, just so we have people who can't see it.
Okay, I'll take the lantern, and then I'll let Ron take the Lifestraw, because he's so passionate about it. And I just have a little bit of passion about it compared to him. So the lantern is by a company called Luminade. And maybe Lisa, you could put that in the chat for people so that they can see how it's spelled. That would be helpful. But what this is it's actually inflatable. So I'm gonna pull the thing on mine. It actually inflates, but Ron's doing it. Thank you, Vanna. But it's probably about a 4x4 cube, I think, if I'm looking at the measurements right. It's made of a translucent plastic vinyl material, so you can see through it. The lantern also has many different settings on it. So if you need to use it as a flasher for emergency roadside, it even has an amber lamp if you needed to use it next to your bed at night, or to help you get back and forth to the bathroom if you're experiencing a power outage, that goes overnight. So there are many things to it. It does have a small solar panel. Oh, June, I wish I had my ruler out when you asked me to describe this now. Probably about 2.5 by 2.5 on top. 2.5, those are inches for all of you. And that's about it. And I'm going to let Ron take over the description of the ever wonderful Lifestraw.
Erin, thank you.
Let me interrupt real quick. Let me interrupt real quick on that lantern, Erin. So right now you have it full of hot air, right? When you received it, what did it look like? You're on mute. Yeah, Ron's got it flat. And then it opens up and you can, you can pack it very easily and take it with you a lot of places. So,
Kind of like, Junior, it's kind of like an accordion that you
correct.
But Ron and Lisa and Erin, for people with any kind of motor or dexterity issue, I actually had a difficult time in the beginning doing it. I mean, I needed some technical support from CFILC. So it may or may not be something that some people with any kind of dexterity or motor issue or strength issue can do. Although once I learned to do it, it became a little easier.
Yeah, thank you, June. And they've improved them from the first ones that we saw that had, I don't know, like snaps on them, on the handles. Now it's Velcro, so that's easier to take on and off versus the snaps. So they're improving a little bit every time, and it's not quite as hard to open those.
And that's why
you kind of twist it and pull it open. So
It's also equally good that we share these products with the audience that we're speaking to today, because these companies do need direct feedback from the access and functional needs community. That's the only way these products are ever going to improve. The same way with the programs like batteries and things like that. It's only because of groups like this and the discussions like this and the comments and the suggestions that come out of these type of focus groups where you can get that feedback that is invaluable to these manufacturers about these products. Goal Zero has even made over the years some refinement to their products and the batteries. And we just keep going back to that. Not that Goal Zero is the be all and end all of every single battery in the world. It's just the battery that all of us that are in the disability disaster access resource world have the most familiarity with. So I don't want you to think that we are secretly getting a kickback from Goal Zero, because none of us do. So anyway.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah.
We have somebody in the chat that says that they did some research and they online, they saw that the charging component is to charge the lantern and not a cell phone. There is a USB port in the lantern that when it is charged, it does take, 8 or 10 hours. We're fortunate in California that at least in the summertime, Ron's showing you there's a small port for the charging, and then there's a USB port to charge your phone or a small device attached to that, and it does work really well. I've drained mine and put it outside for a day in the summertime, and it's fully charged by the end of the day. It lasts me all night, easy. I tested it. It lasted 2.5 nights with one charge. So depending on how long it's dark, of course, right?
Yeah.
So
Lisa,
go ahead,
I'm
Ron.
also
So tell us
seeing-
about.
I'm also seeing 2 hands in the chat area, so I don't know if they're
you.
related possibly to what Erin and Ron are sharing here.
Thank you, Carolyn. Elliot, how about you?
I want to say the Luminaire Lantern and the Lifestraw are excellent products. But they're not the only products out there that meet those needs. And there's a wealth of products out there. Almost every year on Prime Day, although I didn't do it the last couple of days, I buy a USB charger that has a solar panel on it. Some even have 3 or 4 solar panels on it. Usually on Prime Day, they run anywhere from $10 to $20, where normally they're $30 to $40. The ones that have 3 panels actually can charge enough to keep things going over time, where the one with 1 small panel just extends the life. But they're very inexpensive. They come with the flashlights, all sorts of brands, all sorts of price points. But the Luminaire Lantern is an excellent product. It was designed specifically for disaster response and to help impoverished people in developing nations. I believe a % of their commercial sales goes towards that goal. So an excellent product, but don't limit yourself only to that product, especially if it's not in your price range. Same thing with the Lifestraw. It's an excellent product, originally developed to be in the kit of pilots so that if they crash land, they have they can find a source for water. But the main products of Lifestraw are designed specifically for, I'm immediately taking a drink from a water source, as opposed to as opposed to filtering a large amount of water to support other people. There are other tools that do that very well. Again, the same type of disaster response origin and supporting capability. I can't think off the top of my head of the names of some of these products, but there's a whole lot of them. But not to say that Lifestraw is not an excellent product. And if you're looking for that product and need a name brand, that is a name brand. So.
Thank you, Elliot. Appreciate that. Good feedback.
And Lisa, do you want to head on Sadie's got one hand up, and then back to you.
For sure. Yes, I was going to go to Sadie. Sadie, you. Thank you.
Yes,
Hi.
this is Sadie. Thank you for taking my question. We work in the Office of Emergency Management, and all of this valuable information shared here today is a lot of people with lived experience. And when we're working with emergency management, maybe these companies that you're working with can start working with the business emergency operations centers so that they know there is that resource out there to help when people with lived experience, that they get disrupted of that resource that is being identified here, whether it be power or water, whatever it may be. That would be very helpful as our business emergency operations centers start pulling together those resources. Emergency management thinks in resource base and what resource is disrupted. One of the things that we're trying to do here in Colorado is help emergency management culture shift to not think of people with disabilities or people with access and functional needs as a them, and helping them better identify the actual resource disruption to be able to backfill to save life and property. And so I think these are wonderful resources, and I haven't even heard of any of them, but I'm definitely keeping a list. So thank you all for sharing that. I just wanted to also extend my gratitude for that.
Great. Thank you, Sadie. Appreciate that. And good feedback for us to reach out to resources and emergency operations centers with some of our findings. So Ron, Lifestraw. Yes? Oh,
I saw Elliot. Elliot, did you have another comment?
Elliot?
Yeah, one other comment. There's a company called Eaton that has that has a whole line of charging devices, some with solar panels, some with hand cranks, some with weather radios and other communications devices built in that are co-branded with Red Cross. And a number of years ago, they had given limited number of units of some of their devices to Red Cross to distribute. But I know that these are all reasonably priced. I think somewhere between $10 and $100, depending on which configuration. And I believe a small amount goes to Red Cross Disaster Services from each purchase.
Elliot,
Yes.
thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank
It's like, I happen to have one of them, one of the hand cranks here. And then again, it's like, we're definitely not promoting one product or another. It's like, I also have a Waka Waka. These things are great, solar powered as well. So, you know, I would encourage everybody, take a look what's out there. The internet's fantastic, and we'll tell you, if you just put in like for example, the Lifestraw. The Lifestraw is probably about a, what is it, about an 8-inch, 9-inch tube, blue tube that is about 1.5 inches in diameter, opens on the bottom, and the wide area you would put in water, a lake, a stream, whatever it is. The top part, you would just pull off the little top, and you would put your mouth on it and suck. And basically, this thing will filter out 265 gallons of water. Again, what Elliot was saying about, you know, it's what happens when the plane goes down, where am I going to get a drink of water? You can put this thing in anything, and it's going to filter out Giardia, everything, all the bacteria. I've had a scientist friend of mine actually did some research on it, and they came back and said, this thing's incredible. It's like, where do I get it? The cost on this one, again, any of these items, I would always say, tell your friends about this. It's like, you know, you got a birthday coming up, I want this, or whatever it is. That way it's not a cost to you, but a gift to you instead. The cost on this one, I think I picked it up for $15. Costco had them for 4 of them for like $42. So you can definitely go shopping around for it if you want. But you know, water containment, or sorry, water purification is a very, very important thing, especially during disasters. If you can't store water, at least you have something for it. That's it. Lisa, back to you.
Yeah, Erin, when we were talking the other day, we were talking about some of the resources that are also available when power goes out and you lose food and other items. Can you talk about some of those resources that are available for people?
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the things that we have, and I apologize for those of you in other states because we're based in California here. One of the things that we have, and it's not available in every county, so I'm going to preface it with this, but is the 211 system for when you get into emergency. Similar to explain this to everyone, just like the 911 system, you can dial 211 from a phone, and that will link you to the people that have they have a bountiful resource list of things that are available during emergencies. So this is a very good thing to have. And I see comments in the chat. We're going off of the current things that are available. So I do understand that there can be other things that are aware. The other thing, and again, this is California specific, for those individuals that receive CalFresh benefits, when your power goes out or when you've been in a prolonged emergency situation, if you, you can fill out a voucher and apply to have that amount replaced. So remember, if you do receive CalFresh benefits and you're in a type of emergency that takes your power out and it leads to food spoilages and things of those nature, then you certainly can utilize that resource. Additionally, if we're talking about power outages, just because going along with batteries today, most utility companies also have a vast list of community resources that are available to you for prolonged power outages. Now, you want to think of that as not the blue sky day outages, not like on, you know, if somebody hits the transformer down the block or they're doing general system maintenance. These are more your prolonged power outages, you know, a public safety power shutoff, things of those natures, power outages that happen due to the system needing to be de-energized due to threats by like fire or wind or things of that nature. So those are the things that you think of that when those resources come in play. There was one other tool I thought of, and it was a simple one, and we actually had them at DRAIL, Disability Resource Agency for Independent Living, when I worked there. And it kind of falls into what June said about mobility and being able to do things. Those sock beanie caps with the lights on the front of them, you need a battery to keep it backed up. They're those little batteries, but that can be your best friend because A, it frees your hands if you're doing a task, and it allows you a very concentrated and focused point of light when you're doing task-oriented things versus the lantern that can light up a whole room and be shared with everyone. So you do want to think about the things that you're attempting to get done and the tool that's best going to suit you for that. And I'm sure Ron and Lisa and Carolyn all have additional resources that they can think of that are helpful when we do end up in those situations.
Yeah,
I do see.
One thing I like that I've seen, it's called a gravity light. I don't know if you've ever seen those before, but it has like a 10-pound weight and you just bring it up. And when it drops down, it runs a light for like 20-25 minutes. It's kind of cool to have. And you can just type in gravity light and you'll start seeing it. But I see, Elliot, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that you don't need to have it built into a hat, the light built into a hat. There's all sorts of just headband lights. I picked up like 3 for $10 at Home Depot a year ago. And then, you know, for the really cheap ones, and then there's, you know, nicer ones that go up to $30-40, but you know, they're everywhere. And just so just riffing on the hat mention.
And I think one important thing to emphasize is that our programs are specifically assisting individuals with disabilities, sometimes multiple disabilities. And that's where we strongly encourage working early with our centers, working with your family, getting like those 5 key people that assist you with your emergencies, like Ron mentioned. But equipment is only as useful as the ability of the person who has it to use. So it is important, whatever tool that is chosen for your emergency program, whether it's, you know, a 1500 battery or a 500 battery or a headband light or a Lifestraw, can you personally use it if you find yourself in a situation where the people who normally would be assisting you are not nearby? That is one of the things that we ran into with our firestorms, is that individuals were separated from their care provider for days. for days, and for some it did not go very well. So we encourage our individuals to really shop around. We help them by sometimes helping them get a sample of whatever gadget or tool they're thinking about using, making sure that when we deliver the batteries that we take the time to help them understand how to use it, which buttons to push, can you even push the buttons that require to be pushed. So there's a lot involved with emergency setup, even with the batteries. Can you plug it in? Can you move it around your home? Can you push that little AC button that Ron talked about earlier because it's not showing red? So there's so much involved here. And again, we're California specific, but wherever you live, you want to be sure that you actually can use and function the gadget, you individually, if you are capable, and always know that your care circle can be there for you pretty much immediately in an emergency if these are tools and gadgets that you cannot use safely alone.
I
Thank
just
you.
wanna
So
throw
we've
in-
got about 5 minutes left. Somebody
Yeah.
just chime in.
I just want to chime
Hi,
in
Jim.
really quick on
Ron?
one little, I just want to chime in on one little thing. You know, the most important thing that you all have is on top of your shoulders. It's your head. It's like, you know, it's your experience that you've gone through, everything that you've learned. And then I just want to push the notion of trainings. And, you know, Sadie, I know you're here. And so I'm sure you're going to be talking about the AFN symposium that's going to be coming out on the 19th and 20th. Definitely, I would encourage people to sign up for that. But I also am one of the lead instructors too for Bay Area UASI, that's the Urban Area Securities Initiative, and with the East Bay. And we're going to be doing a series of trainings starting on August 2nd through September 13th. And I'll put the link on here. It's a free training. You know, it's pretty much, we're going to be going through 7 different types of layers of training. We've got personal preparedness, agency, we've got COOP training, we've got agency preparedness on how we link up with our local, you know, emergency managers, fire department, sheriff's department, whatever it is. And it's mostly going to be localized for Alameda and Contra Costa County, but I would encourage people to actually partake in it and see how we're actually linking up. And we're doing this in collaboration with our VOAD, our COAD. But it's a great little training, free of charge. We're calling it Night School. This is our 4th year doing it, and it's kind of fun. Last year we did an hour of power. This year is going to be Night School. So you're more than welcome to partake in that.
And Ryan, I urge you, Junior, I hate to bring this to a close, but any of the rest of you that have announcements, do put it in chat. At the bottom of your screen, there is a way to capture chat. There's a whole lot of rich information there. So on my screen, if I open chat, I see 3 dots and I click on those 3 dots at the bottom and it says capture chat. So that's the way for you to do it. I want to
June, do we have time to field Liz Dietz's question? Are we out of time?
No, I think I need to close. We've got a couple of things we need to do. This has been such a rich discussion that I'm going to lobby all of you for part 2, because we haven't had enough time to go over all the questions and all the participation and everything in chat that really needs further exploration. But I do want to thank all of you. I think you should all be consumer report subject matter experts. And I think this discussion has been very rich, excellent overview, and some very powerful and granular tips. So what I wish for is to get some of these tips in writing, because your point, Erin and Ron and Carolyn, is we're using these on not our best day. So if we can create a tip sheet that reminds us 1, 2, 3, 4, when our thinking is already clouded by high anxiety, that would be one thing I would wish for, and how to remember to prioritize what's life-saving first?
Hey, June, real quick, can I ask Liz, if you can put your question in the chat, we can get to it?
Yeah,
That'd be
that's
great.
Thank you. That's a great, and then the rest of you, and I think we need to do a part 2. And please give us your feedback in chat. Give us your feedback on the poll that Victor will post. And thanks for a very excellent and rich discussion today, all of you. So, Victor, do you have the poll there?
Yes, 1 second, I'm working on it.
Thank you, everybody, for participating in this. We had a really large turnout. We're really happy about that and glad we could keep you captivated about batteries. My dogs are tired of me talking about them. They've slept through this entire ordeal, so I don't want to hear any more about batteries. We had no interruptions today. That's unusual. Anyway, thank you all for having us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Lisa. Thank you so much, June, Ron, Erin, and thank everyone for joining in.
Yeah, I love the discussion. June, thank you so much for having this platform, and everybody else, and the presentation team. You guys are awesome. Love
And you
talking.
guys are not off the hook. Part 2 has to come our way soon.
What? No.
Don't know that you can afford us now that we're superstars, June. No, just kidding.
I had to write a grant.
Always happy to help out. I'm going to sign out, everyone. Thanks. See you all soon.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Carolyn.
everybody.
Bye. Thank you. Very
Okay, guys.
informative.
Thank
Steve, can you put your information in the chat for me so we can get in touch, or grab mine that I put in there?
Yes, ma'am, definitely. I did just grab yours. I'll add mine also. That way we got
Okay.
an open line.
So we'll
Great,
leave
thank
that chat up for just a couple of minutes so you can capture it. And so you won't take it down for a second for a minute or two. So again, thanks you guys. Excellent, excellent job.
Got you, Lisa. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks, June. This was great.
Yeah,
Yep. Until next time.
definitely.